Hey guys, welcome back to the Project B-Ball podcast. My name is Akarsh G.
My name is Ray Manangi. So, guys, today is our actual start to the What If series that we were starting in our channel. I know we had this Reddit post thing. We made a video on it. In that video, we kind of spurred it into a new idea for a series, just on the spot. So, that video, we talked about a lot of different stuff that we're gonna talk in more in depth. And throughout the series, that video is a 30-minute video just talking about different stuff, like the shot chart and changes that they can make and stuff like that. Where we figured out this new video series where it's what a rule change we can make to the NBA and how does it change the effectiveness of playing basketball, or how does it change the whole game, change the way for the players, change for the coach, or change it for the league overall, viewership and stuff like that. Now this is gonna be a series that we're gonna run it throughout our channel with different topics. We have today is gonna be if a 4-point line would be added to the NBA. There's another video that we recorded is if the NBA seedings are changed into a football format, how the NFL does it. So those two videos are going to come up. This one and that one will come soon to the channel. I think, of course, you want to talk anything more about the premise of the 4-point line video real quick for this video?
Yeah, this video is going to be pretty interesting. We're going to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the 4-point line and how it can affect the NBA in the future. So yeah, let's get into it. So first, let's talk about the strengths. You want to get started off for today?
Yeah, I think with a 4-point line, I would say one of the biggest strengths that will be involved when there's a 4-point line is when it'll become more exciting, the
NBA would definitely become more fast-paced. Players would be shooting from the 4-point line a lot more. The scores would be going up, and I think generally a lot of more people would be tuning in because the NBA would be more exciting than it was before. There would be more points scored at a higher volume, and
Yeah, so to build upon what Akarsh is saying, with excitement, in my way is think about this, a team is up 10, right? And within 2 plays, the game can go back to a single possession game. If a player on the other team will hit two 4-pointers, and the rumored length of this 4-pointer, because the 3-point line is 22 feet or something like that, the rumored length is between 28 and 30 feet. So it's still makeable because players are shooting from there. And there's not many, but I feel how the 3-point line works, eventually a lot of players are now shooting, and now we have centers that it's almost becoming a must for a center to shoot that 3, right? So when we implement that 4-point line, it'll take us I would say a decade or 2, right, to where it becomes the focal point of the offense. We'll talk about a little bit more towards the weakness side of the video, how long this will be actually effective, but we'll come to that point later on. Another strength we would like to talk about is higher points scored in the game.
Before you say that, can I add one thing? We've also seen that the Atlanta Hawks and a couple other teams have added 4-point lines to their practice facility just to prepare in case the NBA actually implements a 4-point line. Yeah, ready. You can continue now.
Yeah. So now, a higher point score in a game, where I was getting at too, if there's more points in the score in a game, it's gonna be more fun for someone to watch. I know most of us here will watch the basketball for the excitement of it. I understand, when you're watching, you want points to be scored. You don't want a 80-point game, right? Where both teams score 80 points. You want a game where a player can drop 60. Another player on the player on the other team will drop 60 as well. With this, it makes it more plausible for these 140-point games to become more they'll have
more accustomed.
Yeah.
And same thing. There are people who like watching defensive highlights and they appreciate the defense, but for the most part, most of the time when people are watching the NBA, they're not going to be oh wow, an amazing steal, amazing on-ball defense. While true NBA fans and close fans of the game would definitely appreciate that stuff, I think in order to appeal to a broader audience, the NBA definitely has to. The broader audience would definitely appreciate the more exciting game with higher scores and more more fun to watch type stuff.
Yeah. I want to piggyback off that, right? Because the NBA is trying to become more of like a global like sport thing, right? If they can make the game in itself more exciting, like more and more people will watch it, more and more people will be inspired to one day be in the NBA. So like, there's a lot of benefits to like making the game exciting, higher point scores. Like these last two strengths we're talking about are kind of like in the same vicinity, but also our next point we want to talk about strengths is more strategies on defensive side of the ball. Like I know many people would love to have, like some people would love defensive ball, like the early 2000s ball where it was like 80 points both games, like both sides of the ball, and like it was there for that enjoyment with the ISO scoring, with like great team defenses, singular defenders that can affect the whole team defense, stuff like that, where like these days like a single good defensive player is not going to affect your whole team's defensive like presence, but like it still will make an impact in like back in the 2000s, right? But like a thing we can look out for, like the defense, if there's a 4-point line added, coaches will adapt. It might take some time, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more, like the time part of this whole 4-point line thing. But like the coaches will adapt, and it's not going to be overpowered. Would you agree with that point? Of course, it won't be overpowered because coaches will adapt to the 4-point line.
Definitely. So yeah, they'll definitely have to adapt. I don't think that man-on-man defense would be optimal for this, because especially if you have a team like the Rockets where they do have like a bunch of shooters, they would space the floor extremely well. So if you play man-on-man defense, I don't know how well that'll work in a 4-point line league, because obviously everyone's going to get way more fatigued, because you know that James Harden would be able to pull up from 4-point line. You know that a couple other players on that team, on that starting lineup, would be able to pull up from there. So you're going to have to guard them from past like 30 feet. So defenses would have to change for that.
Yeah, I agree. And then the people who enjoy like defenses, right? Like I think some people also like when they enjoy defenses, they try to like singular defensive players that are amazing singular defensive player of the years or go on the all defense teams, right? But they also like to see the strategies used. With a 4-point line, that creates like a whole new system where strategies can be used, like and they can create a whole new zone, because like zone right now would be, they have to play it different, because 4-point line means you have to cover 30 feet now at that point.
You pretty much have to start guarding people from 30 feet somehow.
Yeah.
The zone will have to open up more. And as a result of this 4-point line, I think mid-ranges are going to be like non-existent at this point. Because I feel like the 4-point line right now would become like how the 3-point line was in the 2000s, if they implemented it right now. But as we go on, I think players would influence the 4-point line to be like the 3-point line.
Yeah.
In the future. Like we have Trae Young and all these people. I think these guys would be definitely profiting off this 4-point line for sure. Yeah. They would be gaining many points on it.
Yeah. So the defense will change. Like we can't really go in depth because we haven't seen it like actually in action, like how defenses will actually change. But I think it will take the time. Like that's something I'll talk about in the weakness section, the time of it. I keep hinting towards it. So now interesting strategies like on offense will also be changed, because offensively, like the whole game will be different, because now people will try to get the 4-pointer over the 3-pointer. That means the mid-range might be non-existent, like Akash was saying, right? So like there'll be differences. My thing is, I don't think centers would naturally like for a 3-pointer, because they need it, because they'll shoot from the corners. Centers like to shoot the corner 3. With this 4-point line, where the NBA is like, where the court is like now, this will be another video. The court is width is extended and the length will be extended. That'll be another video in the series. We'll talk more in depth, but I'll mention it a little bit here. And when a 4-point line gets introduced, in my opinion, has to be like a semicircle or wherever it is. Like,
so you're saying it won't expand to the corners? But in the other video that we've been planning, we think if the NBA court does expand, then they could possibly expand the 4-point line to the corners.
Yeah, that video will come in the future. That's something we'll work on. But like as it is right now, it should be like a straight line, right? So like mainly, I don't see like, unless like would you really put?
It would just stop. It would just stop at the ends of the court. Unless they expand the court somehow, and then they definitely won't have a 4-point line. Because as it is, the 3-point line ends like dead near the corner. So if we have a 4-point line, with those calculations, I think that would go out of bounds. The NBA would have to again extend their court.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, I haven't done the calculations, but it seems that way.
Yeah, but more my thing on that, right? Like that means like centers and power forwards don't necessarily like if you're playing like however the system that teams play, right? They don't necessarily need to shoot that 30-foot shot because that probably won't be the best shot for them anyways. But like I can see shooting guards, point guards, and small forwards who will start shooting them, and then when time moves on, the game will change, right? Of course, do you have any more points on the interesting strategies for offense before we go talk about the weaknesses a little bit?
No, I think we covered it for that. So
Okay.
let's go move on to the weaknesses.
Alright, so for the weaknesses, one weakness, like we were hinting at it earlier, is like the game will become more offensive focused, right? Where this is the weaknesses. It's more of us like what other people think about when we went around the internet and looked at other people's like general opinion on 4.9, right? Some people were saying like, okay, the game will become more offensive. Like the defense will be gone. Like me and of course were talking about earlier. It will take time for the defense to adjust, but like within the time it takes, like I would say it takes 10 years for actual defenses to make to have the actual strategies to guard the 4-point line, right? During those 10 years, I don't expect like it to become so overpowered that like it becomes a problem where the game is just like feels not natural. Of course, you want to more elaborate on that point?
I think in the beginning when they implement this line, they'll probably do it in like an all-star game type fashion just to see how it goes. And in those games, they don't play defense anyway, so they'll definitely have a lot of opportunities to shoot in those games. But I think if it gets introduced in the NBA, the first season or so, they'll be puzzled to see how they play defense because the offense would just become like much more fast-paced. You'll have people just as soon as they come across half court, you'll have players that will just launch it. In my opinion. But as time goes on, like Renee said, I think coaches will adapt to this. They'll see that, maybe we play these players, we guard them until they cross the 4-point line, and then we can play normal defense like how we would if they were at the 3-point line, before the 4-point line was invented. So they could do stuff like that. Again, I'm not like a coach or anything, so I wouldn't really know. But yeah. They would definitely adapt in the future.
And more to Harsh's point, now we'll go on to the next point, which is a little bit more like talking about the game will become more offensive. Another weakness we saw is the game will definitely change. Yeah, no one's going to dispute that, right? But some people think it will become a bad change. The game will change too much in the wrong direction, right? And now, like my thing on this point, right, is like, I understand like when the thing is going to be released to like when it's implemented, those years are going to be kind of difficult for teams, right? Because teams are like trying to decide if they really want a center to shoot that 4-point shot. Like over time, like the way the court is structured now and how the 4-point line shot would be, it will take time for teams to actually adjust. So like, I don't think the offense will be so overpowered in the first couple of years either, too. Because the teams are trying to fix that 4-point line into their offensive structure, too. And the defense.
I think if they implement this, it's gonna influence a lot of more teams to go with the small ball lineup. That's what I'm thinking. Because let's say, how many more people are gonna, if there's a shot that you can shoot from 30 feet and beyond, how much percentage of the time will people actually go in the paint? Because you can get a 3-pointer, a 4-pointer, and then a 2-pointer. I think more people lean towards the 3 and the 4. But I definitely think that it'll be good to get those easy shots. So I don't think that the paint offense will go anywhere. I'll just say it's going to be reduced. And by that standard, I think that it would influence some small ball lineups.
Yeah. Of course, you're right on that point, right? But like over time, the game will adjust. And if you can't tell me, and of course you're pro for this decision of adding a 4-point line, there's other people who don't necessarily like it. I think it'll be interesting. It'll shake the game up. After this decade of the resurgence of the 3-point line, yes, I think it should not be implemented right away. Like, give it a couple years, like Akash said, start off with the All-Star game, see how it goes there, then make it in the preseason, then after that, make it regular season, then add it, like, and see, make it a slow, like, simple, easy process. So like when it gets added, players are already practicing that shot, right? It doesn't have to be a surprise for them.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, the Hawks already built a 4-point line, or they've implemented a 4-point line in their practice court. So I feel like those players have been practicing that shot a lot. As we see Trae Young he usually launches from far anyway. But I think they would definitely practice that shot right now, the Hawks. And there's a couple of other teams that have this implemented. But for some other players, they already are accustomed to shooting from really far. So I don't think it would be that much of a culture change for them.
Yeah. So that's our like point on like the game will be changed. But we personally think it will be good and won't have a negative effect. Like I know only recently the 3-point resurgence came, right? So like that's why I said to let it rest for like 5-6 years. But you can start. But I don't want to do it like. I don't know the history of the 3-point.
Don't just throw it into the mix, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but
let it simmer. Let it go in the All-Star game first. See how that goes. Throw it in the Rising Stars game. Do it in a lot of other areas so that players get accustomed to it.
Yeah,
is what we're trying to make.
Yeah, because I don't remember like how the 3-point line was like put into the NBA. I don't know if they put it into like college basketball first, or like did it in the All-Star game, then they put it in, and they just dropped it in, right? I don't know if that was exactly the case, but it did take like 30 years almost to get the 3-point line to be fully effective, right? But I think the NBA would be smarter with their approach, like what we're saying, like throw it into like less meaningful events like the All-Star game and stuff, so the players can be accustomed to it, and then when it comes into the regular play, they won't be shocked and like not utilize it like how it was in the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s. And the 2000s pretty much too. Yeah. But I'm saying if it's done right, it would work. If it's done like how the 3-point line was working, then I'll be kind of skeptical on it, right? Because like it won't be utilized properly because players won't really practice it, right?
Yeah.
Weakness side of the game, right? It's like the defense will. Our people's theory is that the defense will change, but they're not sure of like there's actually a way to make sure the defense will change to where the 4-point line becomes not too overpowered and the game feels kind of unnatural, which was the point I talked about a little earlier in the video, right? So, of course, what's your opinion on like if the defense will actually be able to change?
In that sense, it's kind of difficult to tell because coaches are going to have to come up with creative schemes to get around the 4-point line and actually play defense on it somehow. And I don't really have any idea how they're going to do that because it's just going to space the floor way too much and open up way too many opportunities to score. Which, it's not a bad thing for what we were talking about because the NBA wants to get more exciting, obviously wants to appeal to a bigger audience, all that jazz, right? So yeah. I feel like there's definitely going to be those coaches that will figure out the way to do so. I'm just not sure how to do that yet.
Here's the thing with what we noticed, like if there's a way to stop it, if one coach figures it out, then all 29 coaches are gonna do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like coaches will follow the trend. So like I don't think it'll be so overpowered that no coach will be able to won't be able to figure it out. There'll be some great defensive mind they'll figure it out. It won't have to be a head coach, it'll be an assistant coach or something that they can do a little different on trying to make sure this doesn't become too overpowered. Because a 30-foot shot, right? Like it with practice to NBA players would be easier, but like NBA players shoot like 35% on average on the 3-point line. So like for a 4-point shot, the average would be like 30%, 28%, something like that. So already
for a good player, for like Steph Curry caliber player, probably be a little higher than that, but still.
Yeah, like, so I don't see them going out there hitting 60% from these shots. That won't happen. So like sometimes like the percentages, right? So like some games a player can go 8 for 8 on these shots, but the next game they'll shoot 1 for 6. It happens if you watch the game. Like great 3-point shooters will go like 5 for 5 from the 3-point line. The next game they go 1 for 4, stuff like that. They're never always going to be like, it's never going to be so OP that where they're shooting 80% from this line. It's going to be below like 30% on the average, because the NBA average for 3-point line is 35%. So if this thing is like 8 feet behind that, right? So like the percentage is going to be a little lower, and not all NBA players are going to shoot this, because the way like how we're saying it's just gonna be a straight line. No center and power forward are realistically gonna shoot it if you have any plan on having an offense that will work, right? So like just be small forwards, shooting guards, and point guards. So the percentage might be a little higher there, but it's still gonna be lower than a 3-point percentage. And the 3-point percentage is 35. And like I think the leading 3-point percentage player, right, of the regular season is like only like 48%, right?
Yeah.
Some, like Buddy Hield or Joe Harris, whoever owns that record, right, will shoot that at that type of percentage. And then like high volume 3-point shooters like Dame, Curry, Harden, and I'm forgetting anyone. Those guys who shoot like they'll shoot 40% ish. Harden doesn't shoot 40%, but Dame and Curry will shoot 40%, but they take like 8, 9 of them, right? So I don't think it'll be that much of a problem if you think of it in a whole retrospective of everything. Like think about all the factors contributing to it, and then we're already looking at the facts we have. A 22-foot jumper, the average percentage for that shot is 35%. So like if you move it 8 feet back, it's gonna be dropped. And so like yes, it will have a huge effect. Like players who master it will be able to shoot well, but like there's not gonna be like, how is there like the Currys and the Dames of the world? So they're gonna be like, with the 4-point line, like there'll be the Currys and Dames, there'll be the new players that enter to the league. Like Trae Young is becoming like that, and there might be some guards coming up in the next couple years like that. They'll be like that in the draft, right? So like it won't be so overpowered, and there won't be not everyone on their team will have a high volume 4-point shooter where it becomes a problem. That's where I was trying to get at, right? You understand what I'm saying, Akarsh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I guess that was our thing. So like for the whole 4-point line, of course, do you have any more final thoughts on this 4-point line you want to add before we end off the discussion?
Final thoughts? No, I definitely think it's a good idea. The NBA should definitely experiment with it in ways like the All-Star game and such. It doesn't hurt to implement it in those ways, and if they truly want to make the game more exciting, I think this may be the way to go if it works.
Yeah, I'll agree with Akarsh on this point, but like do it right. Like implement it in the All-Star game, regular season, preseason, then implementing the regular season, postseason afterwards, right? Make it like a smooth transition so players don't get shocked all day. Like Adam Silver be like, okay, hey guys, we're adding a 4-point line starting next season. Players have to switch up their game. Make it like where it'll slowly build up to it, where it actually becomes like won't be like a problem when it shows up in the league, like what we're getting at earlier. But I personally, like I said this earlier in the video, me and Akarsh are pro having 4-point line. We think it'll make the game more interesting, more fun. It would just like want us to watch more basketball at that point, right? Because like that 4-point shot can change the whole dynamic of the game. There's like a team down by 5 in like the last 30 seconds could potentially just get a 4-pointer and be within 1, and the game will actually be more interesting in the last 30 seconds instead of like a 5-point game. At that point, it's kind of not viable, because like you shoot the free throws, it'll be like someone hits a 3, then someone will shoot the free throws. It will get there, but it will take more possessions. So with this one, it'll be less possessions, and the shot is difficult. That's the thing, right? Because everyone likes to see players hit the hard shots to make the team win. This shot, 30 feet, is not going to be easy to hit. It's a difficult shot, and that's what people like to watch. People like to watch NBA players hit these hard shots in certain situations. Now, that makes the game more exciting. So, like, I think this will be a good addition as long as they do it right. Like I said the whole video. I guess that will end off for this video. If you want us to do more stuff relating to the 4-point line, I think we'll definitely mention this when we talk about our court size and all that type of stuff in that video when we record that. But if there's more stuff that 4-point line would be viable to talk about, please put in the comment section down below. And also, guys, we're starting to plan a little bit more some viewer. You can help viewer. your involvement in the channel. So we're gonna start doing some tournaments and stuff. It's in the early planning stages, but those things are definitely coming to the channel where we definitely want you guys to compete in some of these tournaments where you guys will compete and you guys can potentially come to the podcast if you win a tournament and stuff like that. These type of stuff are in the discussion for the podcast, so stay tuned for that. I can't wait for you guys to hear our plans for that. I'm definitely trying to increase. Sorry, we haven't been when we recorded this. We haven't been consistent for the last couple of weeks of uploading. We try to upload 3 times a week. We haven't been doing that well the last couple of weeks, but we'll get back to our schedule. And once the NBA season comes back, we'll get more different content than our usual discussion videos or like fun guests who or trivia videos or whatever. We'll definitely talk about when the NBA season comes back. We'll go in more depth about the teams and stuff. But do you have any more comments on the future of the channel?
No, I think we're going in a good direction. As you said, we're gonna have a lot more viewer involvement in the future. All good stuff. We really want to interact with the viewers and maybe have them on a couple of podcasts and hear their opinions about stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So like we have definitely great plans coming up in the future that we can't wait to share with you guys. Right now they're in the development stages, but once we have more information, we'll definitely reveal it to you guys. Yeah, I think that should be it. That's all of the announcements we have to make at this time. Thank you guys for listening this video. I know it's going in the longer section. We definitely in the future will have shorter videos and longer videos like we said, but discussion videos are my personal favorite type to do, but don't get me wrong, I love the shorter videos to do. But after that, I don't think I really have any more comments. So guys, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, click the like button, and also hit the notification bell so whenever we immediately post a video, it'll become like a premiere live stream so you guys can watch the live stream of it. That I think is a bit more enjoyment. And when you're on the live stream, we're one of the hosts, me, Akash, or Goko will be active. So if you guys type in the chat, we can actually respond to some of the stuff you guys want to say. Right, Akash?
Yep.
Yeah. So definitely check that out. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.